Certainly, one message that we can glean from our scriptures today, that as Christians, as baptized followers of Jesus, we need to have gratitude and thanksgiving as a part of our lives. I was thinking that one of the first things that we teach children are the words please and thank you. They are so important about being the people that we are called to be, these understandings that we give to our children of being thankful and being filled with gratitude. And I was thinking about how really important those qualities are, that we as a people need to continue to engender in ourselves gratitude and thanksgiving. In fact, when we imagine a person who is ungrateful or not thankful, sometimes it can really anger us. You know, when you give something to someone and there's no response at all. Even there's sometimes a sense of entitlement. And where does that come from? The sense that we deserve or that we earn a particular gift. And when we think about really what a gift is, it is neither of those things. We don't earn it or deserve it in any way. I was doing a little reading and research about where gratitude and thanksgiving comes from in our own mind and our heart. And one author said that the first thing that we need to have if we are to be grateful like this one leper in today's gospel who was outside of Judaism, who was a foreigner, is that first we have to remember. We have to remember who we were and now who we are. So there's that sense of remembering. And when we remember, we should then develop a very profound sense of humility. There was in the background of this person who realized that he was cleansed. And remember that being a leper in the society of Jesus meant that you were completely outside of the culture. Leprosy was considered a very contagious disease, so it was very isolating. People who had leprosy did not live with their family and friends. They did not do what people customarily did, like going to the market or going to the river to draw water or sharing a meal with their family and friends. It was a terrible plight to have leprosy. And this person realized in humility that the gift that Jesus gave to him was nothing that he deserved, but rather humbly accepted. And that was part of his returning to offer thanks to Jesus. In other parts of the gospel, Jesus tells us that when you hold a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. Blessed indeed will you be because of your inability to repay you. And that's another indication, besides humility, that we need to have. We also have to have this humbleness that means that we cannot offer repayment. When we think about like returning a favor, somebody does something for us and we do something for them, like I carpool today and you carpool tomorrow. You make the cupcakes for the school this week and I'll do it next week. You know, there's a kind of doing things out of favor to another, but this is not that. There's nothing that that healed leper who was a Samaritan could do for Jesus. And in fact, when we think about that kind of returning the favor, that you do something for me and I do something for you, that really diminishes the original gift that was received. Really, the kind of gift that we're talking about can never, ever be repaid. And that's the kind of place that we need to be in if we are to kind of have the gratitude that Jesus is talking about today, that he holds up for us to imitate. We know that the Greek word Eucharist means thanksgiving. And we know that in word and in sacrament that we celebrate week after week, there's nothing that we can do that deserves the kind of unconditional love that God has for us in Jesus Christ. That's what grace, that's why we sang Amazing Grace. What makes grace amazing is that it's undeserved. That's what grace is. It's God loving us despite ourselves. And that really is a gift, and we are humbled by it. And the humility that we have is the source of our gratitude. I was explaining to, I think it was the 5th grade the other day, they were talking about Eucharist. And we were kind of going through some of the theology of the Eucharist and tying it to Passover, some of those early symbols of the angel of death passing over us and the lamb, and Jesus is our lamb, and how those two things are related. And I was talking to them that the way that we look at Eucharist is both a sacrifice and a meal. So one way that is embodied in our language is we call this an altar table. It's both an altar of sacrifice and a table like would be in any other house that we dine around. And in the act of what we're doing is that we are offering back to God what God has given to us. We are asking Jesus once again to be the lamb that is slain for our salvation. We're offering that back to God in gratitude because we don't deserve Jesus, but God gave Jesus to us despite ourselves for our salvation. And it's truly a gift that we need to appreciate. When people say to me, and they, it's not often I have this conversation, but sometimes when I'm having a conversation with someone who's fallen away from the church, they'll say to me, I don't get anything out of Mass. And the thing that really occurs to me, and it's always hard to know how to welcome somebody back that is having that attitude, whether it be someone young or old. But the point is that we're not here to get anything. The point is that we're here to give thanksgiving. And in the act of giving thanksgiving, we receive something. As though like we're, Kmart or Walmart or one of those consumeristic. It's hard not to be a consumer in our country. We don't come here to get something. We come here to give thanksgiving. And in the moment that we do that in all humility, God graces us with the presence of his Son, Jesus. And in that moment, we know salvation. Many years ago, when I was first ordained, I attended a workshop with the North American Forum on the Catechumenate. It's an organization that helps people to form RCIA in their parishes. And I remember having someone speak to us, and it was like an open forum, and a question was posed. And the question was this: if we think that we're coming to church simply out of obligation, will we ever have the worship that God desires? If we come to church only because of obligation, will we ever have what God desires? Because the question that I think what it kind of rattles in me is that we don't want a child to say thank you because they have to. We want a child to say thank you because they want to. We don't want to gather here to offer thanksgiving to God because someone's making us, because we're afraid we might go to hell, or we're afraid that we won't get buried from the church if I don't show up. We come here because God has given us a gift and we are grateful for it. And that makes all the difference in the world. makes all the difference in the world. What happened to the other 9 that were cured? What happened to them? No one made them come back to offer thanks, and even if someone did, would it really be gratitude? If someone's made to say thank you, is it really thanksgiving? So the second quality, besides humility, that is the basis of gratitude, is freedom. We need to freely offer thanksgiving and gratitude if it will really be what we say it is. And it's very important that we understand that. The liturgy is a lot more than rules and rubrics, actions that we have to perform perfectly. It is a time when we come together to offer thanks with humbleness and with freedom, because that is the basis of genuine gratitude. So may our Sunday celebrations lead us in freedom and in humility to full, conscious, active participation with gratitude and thanksgiving for our God. Amen.